Hello, everybody. So, I wanted to talk about the heart journey, which is the journey that I've created for February for you. So, I created a guidebook that I highly suggest you take a look at, and then I wanted to pop on and chat about it in the hopes that it supports you when you look at the guidebook or also entices you to check it out. So, the heart journey. The heart and the body, I believe, are our greatest untapped resource. They really, there's just so much more available for us when we get the body and the being on board, right? We've all experienced that frustration from trying to change or trying to figure it out or trying to do everything from just the head up and being stuck in the busy mind. And there is so much more deep transformation that can happen and lasting transformation that can happen when we get the being and the body on board and we really reawaken and realign and reignite and connect and plug back into all of the power and potential that is here. And so this guidebook and this journey is all about supporting you in doing that. I talk about my lovely journey to the heart, which I put in there in the hopes that if anyone is finding it difficult to connect within, I feel you. So you can check that out. I also offer Tara Brach is an incredible author. Her book, Radical Acceptance, is phenomenal. All of her talks are fantastic. But she has an equation that I absolutely love. Pain times resistance equals suffering. So I found that the times when I am suffering the most, if I am able to actually stop and pause and check in and feel what's going on, there's a tremendous amount of resistance. And when I feel underneath what's there and just feel the pain, yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, it took me a long time to be able to have that tolerance to be with what is, but it is also the most freeing way to let go and to move on and to release and to really metabolize and alchemize and come back, because there's so much energy and vitality that's lost in suffering, and it's unneeded if we can really look what's underneath that resistance. So I talk about that, and I talk about acceptance, which is just, it really is everything. Acceptance and surrender is underneath everything. And I have that beautiful Carl Rogers quote right here. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Because I know for me, for a long time, I was in resistance and not accepting because I felt like I needed to be hard on myself. I felt that if I accepted myself and loved myself, I wouldn't get any better. I wouldn't change. But in fact, it's actually the opposite. Until we accept and meet ourselves there and hold ourselves with compassion and tenderness, we cannot change. So that juiciness is in there. And then I offer some questions and reflections that you can walk with throughout the whole journey that really entice empowering insights into what's really going on. You know, what is it that I'm avoiding feeling in this moment? How in my body do I leave? I feel sometimes, you know, when you're on a personal growth journey, sometimes you can get stuck in the why, right? Why am I like this? Why do I feel this? What is the story behind this? All of that has a beautiful place. It's very important. However, in my experience, it's also a place you can get stuck, and it can be an excuse. And so I am more interested now in learning the how. So yes, why, where does this come from? Now I know that part cognitively, so then how? How in my body do I resist this? How in my body do I leave, right? Where is it that I am holding this belief that I now have uncovered from the why? So I hope that makes sense. So that's in there. And then I dive into a bunch of practices I put them into two domains of practices, two buckets. Reawakening the body and the heart, and then creating embodied presence, right? So it's like waking up what's happening, getting things plugged back in, and then really embodying presence, being here now, which is just, it's everything. I just did a blog post today around that same thing of I feel that myself and others get caught up in the doing. I think we can all relate to that, like do, and we don't know how to be. And I feel and see and sense this longing for beingness. So that goes hand in hand. So check that out too. I also did a recording of it, so you don't even have to read. You can just listen to it. So that's a blog post. Back to the guidebook. So I offer practices in movement and breath, because movement and breath is like the number one way to get into the body and get things moving, walking, right? Really connecting to the superpower of your heart, which is just like, trust me, when you start to plug in, it's powerful freaking stuff. Yes, and then I dive into feeling, because oftentimes we don't know how to feel, and really trusting, building that self-trust. And then I move into embodied presence and meditation and centering and the sacred pause. And guys, this is so juicy, and it's free, and it's just soak it up and reach out to me if you have questions. And I end with probably the most vulnerable giving I've given so far on this Wholesome Tribe journey, which is I put into words what I feel is my deepest practice, what gets Aspen back home. And it came in such a beautiful way of, I've always related to the ocean and to water. And if I had to sum up metaphorically, my path of healing, it was going from being plummeted by the waves constantly to becoming the ocean. Really feeling what it was like to hold myself in the totality of who I am, in the waves, in the crashes, in the steadiness, in the depth, in the fathom of me. And so I offer a very simple 3-step meditation, but it's also just 3 steps that you can use in any way. I will dance it, I will sing it, I will scream it, I will move it, right? They're just steps on a path that I have found really help return me home. So it's sea, like the ocean, S-E-A. So check that out. I hope that it supports you in coming back to the wholeness that is there and available for you within. And then there's a little recording of that in a meditation form and for you to listen to. And being must be felt, and it's so important, because otherwise what we're doing is we're skimming the surface of life and we're not really arriving. And I think you can feel that. I can. And so it's finding that way to really live fully and vibrantly now, because that is all that we have. So check out that guidebook and that meditation and the new blog post, and feel free to reach out with questions, because I know sometimes this stuff is definitely didn't make sense for me for a long time. So feel free to always reach out with any questions, and I'd love to hear how your heart journey goes, and know that whenever you come to it is the right time. It doesn't have to be in the month of February. It can be whenever it is time for you to step into that journey. So, love, love, love. Mwah.